Hey, welcome back. Season 2, number 18, Corey. Cattle Drive Live is back in action.
You bet. Beautiful weather up here in South Dakota this week. How's it doing down there in Oklahoma?
I mean, I don't know about beautiful. It is turned off hot.
Oh,
It
really?
is. Oh, yeah. It's powder weather.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's powder weather in Oklahoma. So it can't be too
We
beautiful up there. Just a couple of days ago, I was going to introduce you as Corey the Tornado Thompson.
Yeah,
It's
we had some
freaky
storms
weather.
blow through there Thursday afternoon, and boy, it did a lot of damage. There's no doubt. From that's there at the farm. Uh, that once was a 8 by 28 foot show trailer in several pieces. Kind of blew it across the cornfield, and there's a lot of that. And it was from the Nebraska border to the North Dakota border. Got into western Minnesota there. A lot of roofs off houses, buildings. Lot of collapsed grain bins. Just a lot of damage. Going to take a little bit to cover up, but I was talking to a guy just a little bit ago that was cleaning up the roof had fallen in on his working facilities, and he had to parade cows to their first set of recips tomorrow. And he's like, "What do you? I mean, you just got to go. We got to clean it up, and we got to get to going, and because that's what we do.
Right. Yeah, it's times like that. We're going to have one on here after a while. It's times like that you hope your local State Farm or Farmers Group insurance guy is paying attention and waking up, knocking on your door, helping you out. So we'll have to gig old Chappie here after a while. He can probably let us in a little bit more on a few things of how that might work in terms of shoot, I don't know. He may even be on here where we can dig him out to the background. Is he where we can get him real quick, Paige? Um, or is he even available? I know he's always in for hi. So Chad,
Yeah.
the Big Show Chaplin, is with us tonight.
Yes, sir.
Farmers Group Insurance, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell us just real quick in terms of tornadoes, storm damage, farm damage, things like that. What is something that some of these people need to be aware of in these times?
The number one issue when your deal blows away or fire, people actually don't know what they own. If it comes in the house, the first thing you have to do, everybody can survey the dwelling, and that's all documentable with pictures. But the problem is what's in your house. You're liable to have $150,000, $200,000 worth of personal property, and you're in an emotional state where your recall is not that good, and you got to sit down with a sheet of paper and write down $200,000 worth of personal property. The average human being is not prepared for that. What we do is, in the day of cell phones, we encourage people to go video the room, okay? Go video the room, somehow save that to your iCloud, make comments about certain things, and that's a documentable process that you can settle a claim with. The next thing is, do not mess up and have a mortgage on something that's paid off, because when they give you the check, the mortgage or lien holder is going to be listed on there. And if it's paid off, you know how hard it is to get a mortgagee to sign off on a piece of property. You got to have a lien release, and you got to have 3 attorneys coming to Christmas with you to get your check back in your name. So that's the biggest issue you're going to face. Knowing what you own and being able to prove what you lost, you are so scatterbrained when you don't have a place to live and your stuff's in the pasture, it's hard to have good thoughts. I mean, we've obviously seen it before, but fire and tornado, both are an issue.
Right. Absolutely. Well, guys, there you go. Those of you in South Dakota that's had storm damage, you heard it right there from the insurance man himself. So those of you that haven't been affected by that at some point in your life, you will. It's just inevitable. So there was some pretty sound advice from Chad. So, Chad, enjoy your diet, Dr. Pepper. We'll talk to you in a minute.
Thank you.
Good. Yeah. So there you go. Those. Have you guys ever had anything quite like that, Corey?
We've had some isolated tornadoes and stuff where yeah, there's sure been some damage here or there. I'm pretty sure. Well, the weatherman, I heard him the other day on the weather. He said in 32 years of broadcasting weather at Kellerland there in Sioux Falls, he's never seen anything like it in terms of a storm that was that broad and in scale. And I mean winds anywhere from 75 to 110 miles an hour, with tornadoes in there here and there. It sounds like, yeah, it was big and broad.
Wow. Anybody checked on your governor? Y'all don't need to lose her. She's pretty.
No, yeah, she was actually in Madison the other day checking it out, and yeah.
Gotcha. Well, hey, things heating up across the U.S. It seems like everybody you talk to, there's drought. I don't know how these guys are all excited to be planting something. I know there's part of the country is wet, but everybody that I've talked to has been dry. But the storm sure help matters in your country at all. But hey, Kennedy Ventures has a big sale coming up in June, the Summer Exchange. It's multiple species involved, and Todd and Blake do a great job with that. If you haven't, get on the KV marketing website. You can check into it. It's a pretty slick deal. June, it's in Tulsa this year at the casino, so it'll be a good time.
Hard Rock. What do they call it? The Hard Rock
Casino.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good stuff. So I think me and you may have a little part in going with those guys maybe. So hey, our frame sponsor tonight is Matt Lautner Cattle. They're in Iowa. His hashtags are same day shipping. Shipping is always available. And I believe, if I understood that right, is over 500 ships free. So get a hold of Matt, 515-450-2800 for all of your Matt Lautner Cattle semen needs. So we appreciate Matt being on here tonight. Herd report, CCI.live. Seemed like the sale season starting to slow down just a little bit, Corey.
Yep. It's that time of year. Both sales wrapping up. Just getting to be summertime, but I tell you, a lot of guys are already getting the fall on their mind. Now's the time to get with CCI and line that fall sale day booking up. Get with Shane Van Zandt there and get Shane or one of their other talented representatives to come represent that company at your sale.
You bet. Another feature that CCI.live offers is the live online sales. It gives you the ability to have a sale, but it's a live sale, but it looks like an online setting. And so call them Shane or Christy, either one, to make sure you got your spot there for fall. So, but anyway, our new website's flying, thedrivemarketing.com. We had some calls this week of guys wanting to do some advertising with us and wanting to learn a little bit more about what we do. And if you want to learn about the Cattle Drive Live or Drive Marketings, visit thedrivemarketing.com. And any questions, I would probably start with Paige or Lacey on that part of it. Don't start with me and you. So anyway, hey, Brock May's with us tonight. I think he's in his car. He's I don't know where he's at. We're fixing to find out. There he is.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
I'm sitting in my truck. I'm in Williamsburg, Iowa. I decided I probably, if I'm going to do this from a pickup, probably should pull over, maybe park a little bit.
Gotcha.
Got my wife and daughter with me. We're on our way back home from New Mexico. We spent a week down there with the in-laws, and we're making our way back home to check on cattle for state fairs and kind of get ready for the junior national run that's headed our way.
You bet.
You and your dad have put together quite the impressive maternal-oriented bull battery, Brock. And one of those bulls is making semen now, and I noticed last week was the first public offering of the ruthless semen on steer bidder. Fill us in on that bull a little bit.
Yes, sir, that's correct. So Ruthless is one of our new sires this year, along with our bull Payroll, which is a red Baldy purebred as well. No, not as well. Ruthless is obviously black. He's homozygous black, homozygous polled. And he hails there from Leavenworth, Kansas. Luke Wood and Abby Wood raised that bull. His dam was a really impressive female that the Abby Wood campaigned there back in 2017, 2018. And she was reserve at the regional show there in Springfield, Missouri. She ends up reserve in Denver, and she wins the Simmentals in Fort Worth. They called her Phoebe, but that thing just was one impressive animal, and she had an impressive run. It's to no surprise that she's raised an awesome bull in Ruthless. Actually, ironically, I have Ruthless's full brother on the trailer right now. We're going to turn him out to pasture here tomorrow. But ironic as that is. So that thing's just churning them out. She's an awesome female. I don't know if you've seen him, but if you know Luke Wood, you know he's kind of got a type. He likes them real stout and punchy. That thing's got a lot of power, but she's unique the way her neck ties into her shoulder. And then she just gets out and moves really well for a female with that much power and capacity.
I gotcha. Good deal.
Yeah. Ruthless is doing well. We actually just sent County O back to 605 there to Corey. He was ST for a while. We brought him home, gave him a little bit of a break, and shipped him back out there to 605.
Boy, he looks great for an age bull. Holy cow, that bull is so stout, wide, square-hipped. And God, he looks good.
Well, thank you. No, we're pretty proud of how that one has stayed together over the years. So pretty excited about him. Glad to have him out there. See what you guys can do with him.
You bet.
So, yeah.
Yep.
No, other than that, we're wrapping up our spring show run. That went well. There was about 6 weekends of show we went to, about straight 6 weekends in a row. And we had a heifer, either grand or reserve, in every ring we showed in except for one. So we had a real nice run. The steer thing went pretty well at the same time. And and I guess one thing I wanted to touch on quick, because we're partnered with Purina on here as well. These cattle that we made this spring run with, we're testing out a new product right now. We've all heard of Ultrafull, and we like how well Ultrafull works, but you have to be careful with it. With 4% fat, you got to be careful what you're feeding it to sometimes, especially on a heifer. We've been trying out a new product that they're going to launch here in June. It's Ultrafull with 1% fat rather than 4%. We've loved the results we're seeing off of that. We're getting that expanded depth down low that we really like to see, but we're not sacrificing getting them a little extra fat at the same time. So be looking for that coming up. Purina's doing a hell of a job, and they're responding to our requests, and that's going to be a really useful tool here to have in the feed room going forward. So be looking for that.
Have they came up with a name yet for that, Brock?
We have not yet. No,
okay.
We have not come up with a name for it, but we probably should. So, yes, sir.
Be like the Bob May special or something. No telling.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Speaking of Bob May, has he come off cloud 9 from being on the cattle drive a few weeks ago with his best buddy talking about the Sugar Ray?
I don't think he has. He enjoyed that quite a bit, and actually, he just did a podcast the other day about Ruthless with Brad Hook. So you jump on the brand champion marketing there. They got a little episode about Ruthless on there, so I think he kind of likes this, doing stuff like this anymore. So,
right.
I think he enjoys it.
Yeah. Well, hey, Brock, appreciate you being on here tonight. Be careful on your way home, and congratulations for your recent success in the show ring. And we'll be talking to you next month. So I'm not going to wish you good luck at State Fair. We'll talk to you before then.
Yes, sir. We'll talk to you before then. We'll see you guys at the Junior Nationals here pretty soon.
Thanks, Brock.
Take care, Brock.
Yeah.
I tell you what, those guys when they know what it takes when it comes to a bull. So
nice battery of bulls put together. That Ruthless, just a tremendous bull ever since he stepped foot off the trailer this spring, and County O and payroll, and they got it going on up there in Wisconsin for sure.
I don't know anything. I don't stay up on the scimitar world like some do, but the only way I remember that bull all the time is the that picture of his mother. Dr. J is in that picture. I think he was like just in Fort Worth, and that guy
no
was
kidding.
common backdrop pictures before there was a name for it.
Yeah,
in that picture, I've never forgot that. So
how about that?
Shout out to the doc. So hey, American Heritage Buck and Bull Fraternity is going on at the PBR finals. It's kind of a new deal. The individual world finals has been moved to this time of year in Fort Worth instead of Vegas. They moved the American Heritage Fraternity. It's their big fraternity for all the 2-year-old bulls that buck with the dummies. And it was like a record number of them, I think. The Moores, Craig, Frida, Ethan, they're from a deal that showed Maines and Herefords. They have the fraternity champion this year. There's Craig and HD right there. If you haven't been following the cattle drive very much, we had HD on when? Early on, Corey?
Yeah, we had him on going into the NFR, I think, there.
Gosh, and you need to go back if you can. You need to go back and listen to him tell the story of when he rode Bodacious in a football helmet.
Yeah.
So,
that was pretty entertaining.
Wow. Yeah, you need to go back. But congratulations to Craig. I have it on my phone here. Sorry, that bull is sired by F19. He was out of world champion Hocus Pocus. And his mother was by a bull they called Bucking Machine. But the interesting part of this whole story is that bull won $72,000 2 days ago.
I bet you that Craig had a 12-pack of Bud Heavy that night.
Yeah, that's what our Snapchat group, Matt Loggins, said. That sure would be a bad day to be a Budweiser. But no, great family, great bull, and congratulations to those two. So,
you bet.
Hey, we're going to try to wrap up this
evolution
of the Club Calf Bull tonight, and by doing that, we're going to invite 3 of our best buddies on here. One of them was already on here. We'll leave him till last. He's not as important as he's probably going to think he is. Rob VanHove is with us tonight.
You bet. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we got 3 knowledgeable people about the club calf industry.
I mean to tell you, we have got the second nicest person ever with us tonight, Ty Webster.
Nice to be on tonight, guys.
Yeah, those of you that say, why did I say Ty's the second nicest person? Because his sister is the nicest person.
She's probably got me there. She's got a little more John in her than I do. But
Jess is good people, man. And who else is with us, Corey? Do you want to introduce him?
We got from the North Country, we got Rob VanHove, Cattle in Madison, South Dakota. And from the eastern, I guess, kind of southeastern country, Ty Webster, and then from the deep south, man deeply embedded with the southern trade, we got Chad Chaplin.
That's right. Guys, good to have you on here tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. So we ventured into this 5 weeks ago into what Corey and I had dubbed the evolution of the club calf bull, and we skipped over. I understand we've had text messages of someone that thought this bull was important or that bull was important, but before we get into this bull and that bull and what this business has came from, where we're at, where we're going. What was it about this business, Rob? We'll start with Chad. Gosh, you're the oldest one on here, Chad. What was it about this Club Calf business that hooked you up? We'll just go in order, I guess, by age. So Ty, you get to be last. But what was it about this business that hooked you in and said, I want to do this more than I want to do that?
It probably the day that I realized that there was something unique to be done. John Griswold didn't even have a complete barn at his place, and he had a Sugar Ray from Dale Riesel, like a holdover sized, tied in there, and he had humongous legs before they had humongous legs and a rope neck. And my ag teacher, we drove up there and looked at him, and that's the first time I realized what a club calf could be compared to what we had here. Does that make sense? I mean, very few times could we raise something that today me and Ty call a gangster. And that was the first one that sticks out in my mind. And I just remember being marveled by the mass and the difference in the average show steer. And I just thought that I can do that. I mean, I want to do that. Let's get started. How do I do that? And I had an ag teacher that knew which direction to go to get started. And I don't know. I can't quit it. It's inside of you, and it's still inside of me. So we just keep going.
Right.
You bet.
Rob, what about you? What was it that led you into this world?
I don't know. I mean, my true passion is for the cows, and then just trying to figure out how to mate them, how to run the cattle that you like being around, but yet still have a product they want to buy. I mean, that's an everyday challenge for all of us. And I guess I like just trying to figure it out. I don't know that I have, but I try real hard. You understand what I'm saying? And the main thing is I've seen Roger Haney, K-Bar, them guys doing it, kind of doing it with the maternal cow and trying to keep your cows the same and finding what bulls would work on them,
Gotcha.
Ty, how about you?
I probably came into it a little different. My dad was, I think, the first set of club calf cows he bought, or I guess they'd just been kind of main Angus or semi-Angus cows, was in like 95. And I really didn't know any different. I think about 99 to 2001, Dad had a real good run there. And that was right when I started showing. And I mean, I was hooked. I mean, a little bit of success pretty much drove me crazy, I guess, to where I am now. but
if Paige has got it, I dug up an old picture. I don't know if she can dig it up of a Simmental heifer back in the day that your dad raised. I don't know if she can find it or not.
Was it, Corey?
It was that. Yeah,
hey,
yeah. There it is, right
lucky
there.
Lady, right there.
Yep.
Clint Rusk.
I can't read. Is that 2000? What year was that?
2002.
2002. Yeah.
Clint Rusk and Dave Allen and Jack Ward and Corey T. And
Yeah.
That heifer won Kansas City and Louisville, and then her flush mate Blake Bloomberg showed in one Denver.
Yeah.
A quick little story Dad tells it all the time is that was the first year he flushed that ink spot cow, which she was a C339U Meyer, and he flushed her to Lucky Break, and there was 4 of them heifers, and they had a workout at Ray's the day before the sale. And they said John Aldhouse came up to you, Corey, and he said, "Boy, this class is extremely difficult." And he said, "Yeah, they're all 4 ET mates." he said it's pretty tough to find one to move to the top.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good set of heifers.
Yeah.
Yep. Guys, what dive into kind of where do you guys see the future of this deal? We've kind of talked about the past and what has happened in terms of from the past till today. Where do you guys see this headed? I guess we'll just go around the horn again. Chad, how do you see stuff changing? Where do you see us going from here?
Well, I don't know. I do know, and I don't want y'all to laugh at me. And me and Ty's touched on this just a little bit the other day. I think a lot of times we get to breeding to the same couple of bulls, and the reason why we do is because now we want to raise the one calf, where 20 years ago we were happy with raising a large group of nice calves, making a little money. We weren't embryo transferring, and now I just feel like that we move into, I want to raise the best one that ever got showed this year or next year, or whatever it is. I think that the evolution is going to be to younger livestock. And the reason why I say that, I've got hung up breeding old cows to old bulls. And then when I ding dong around and use a new bull on a new cow, they're all of a sudden so much better than what I just raised. And I think that without getting into a discussion about potency or prepotency, I really think there's more value in those younger animals, the newer things, and you can make what you want, in my mind, with these newer bulls. So what do you got to make them? They have to be the best balanced, they have to be the best walking, and they need to be in the best home. Well, the newer bulls, the thing that we make them better with is their walking and their balance, right? I mean, you throw all the rest of it out of the way, but at the end of the day, the one that gets taken the picture of, that's the two things, in my opinion, that probably he did better than the rest of them. Okay. And so I think that I'm just like I was at Horns yesterday. He's got a little pen of bulls that weigh 700 pounds. He's tested all of them. They don't even have names yet. There's stuff in there that we can use that I think's better than 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago. And more than anything, I'm probably lecturing myself that I have got hung up on some old things that I wouldn't let die. And that's my own fault, because I thought maybe I raised the perfect one or a great one, or I just wouldn't let go because I was that close and it didn't live. And I'm going to do it. And hard-headedness kind of got me in that place. But I've got pregnancies coming out of bulls that there's never been calves out of, and cows there's never been calves out of coming this fall. And I have great optimism. I think that that's the new way.
Right. Mm-hmm. Rob, what about you? You know, I took from Chad just then, and Chad, correct me if I'm wrong. You don't mind the, for lack of better words, the zoo bred over zoo bred. You don't mind that mentality, the hottest thing over the hottest thing. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, you're right. I don't take it to the point that Ty would take it to, and I'm not in the position that Robbie's in. So we're really middle ground. Ty's the true zoo breeder, okay? And then Robbie will not get dirty on dirty for nothing, okay? I waller in the middle ground there just a little bit. And that's just my person. I'm conservative by nature, but I try to get the most out of what I got without getting too crazy.
All right. And with all due respect, it has worked for you. Rob, what about your take on that, just with your philosophy?
You know, and everybody can have their opinion, and it's just mine. You know, I mean, I kind of just was my mentors and my people that I tried to grow up in this business with was, you know, like I said earlier, just keep your cows as maternal as you can, and you know. But when I say that, what Chad was talking about, I mean, this deal has changed a lot. I mean, we used to breed a really good cow to a really good bull, and we'd get a saleable calf. Any more saleable calf isn't good enough. So maybe you've got to push the limit a little bit more than maybe I have even in the past. But on the other hand, when you're running as many cows as I am, we can't have a bunch of them zoo bred ones, or we won't make it through the day. We have a hard time the way it is. I mean, and when you find a one, it's a diamond in the rough and worth a lot of money. It's hard to gamble a lot that way for me in the numbers and the situation we're running. You understand what I'm saying? Now, like you said, every operation is different and every situation is different. But you know, there's probably I don't know. There's probably a little more the way this deal is trending. slide their way just a little bit more. You understand, than I probably would have in the past. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
I mean, I still want to keep my base maternal. I think people that have got that went to that club calf on club calf, years ago. I think that there's certain guys that got themselves in a corner and kind of had to come back to the maternal side just a little bit to get some just the stuff cows are supposed to do. Do you understand what I'm saying? Just get the milk and just the normal stuff cows need to do. Now, when I say that, there is no doubt in my mind, the grade of the grade is probably zoo bred on zoo bred. Do you understand what I'm getting at? I mean, it just is. It's just, I don't know if that one will on my situation, carry me enough to pay all the bills of running so many cows. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I just don't know what you do with those other ones. That's just my philosophy on it, I guess.
Yep.
And I don't know if I sent Paige a picture, Rob, of your Here for Good bull. I don't know if she could pull that up here, but yeah, right there. And this bull is out of. Tell us how that Shelby donor's bred.
Yeah, she's a step up, back out of a final answer Luton cow. We're real excited about the bull. The bull's had full sibs. It's done a lot of good. Chaffee's got one, I think, down at his place. It's pretty nice. I just everything, it's a new bull, but we sure like everything and the direction he's going. I mean, where we kept him, he's still got. I'm hoping, and we'll have to have this conversation a year from now. But hopefully, the predictability's there just by, keeping a little more maternal and a little more knowing what that cow can do. That's the whole hope and the whole deal. You know what I mean? But no, he looks real good. He's producing semen real good, and we dang sure had. It's been a good season selling semen. So.
Gotcha. Ty, what about you? Let's stay on that same thought of breeding, crossbreeding, breeding, maternal, zoo bred. You give us your rundown.
Yeah, and before I get into it, I mean, I've got the utmost respect for both the guys on here. I can drive out to Rob's and look at cows for days, and I've bought cattle off both these guys on here and put it into my program and everything else. But I probably fall a little bit different than Rob, where he is, he puts together 100 head pasture sale of everything that he's raised. And I probably am a little more go out and find some cattle, and stuff like that. So, what we do at our place is probably a little bit more what you're calling club calf on club calf. We got a lot of TH-free club calf sired daughters, and we do a lot of ET work. We don't make them cows do a lot other than make us eggs. They're very disposable around here, whether if a guy wants to talk about it or not. I mean, sometimes they work, and if they don't, they go down the road, and that's the way it is. I mean, we're finding new genetics and new stuff to bring in, and when it works, we step on the throttle and go as fast as we can. And with that trading thing, it softens the blow for some of the mistakes that I have, because we dang sure have some, but every day when we go out, no different than any of these other guys on here, my goal at the end of the day, if the calf brings a lot, awesome. But my goal at the end of the day is for that calf to win as a fat steer. And that is what every mating and everything I do when I'm mating a cow or buying a cow or anything like that, that is the sole end product. And if they can bring a lot, then I don't have to scrounge money around and sell off tennis shoes to pay for feed. That's awesome. But that's kind of where we are. I mean, we dang sure push the envelope. And when it works, I love doing it. And there's dang sure some times that it's tougher than others, but we're kind of getting it narrowed down to the cows that throw us the most consistency. And believe it or not, them cows are not the cows that you would go out and pick out of our pastures by any means. I mean, they've got just enough club calf in there to make me happy, and they look just close enough to Rob's worst cow that he sells in the combined force to sale.
But Ty said something right there that it's Ty's secret, and a lot of people, if they wasn't listening, didn't pay attention. Ty has clean cows, but they have dirty pedigrees. And so therefore, when you look at them, it's different than what you're thinking as a club calf evaluator, right? So when they're clean, but they have that in their background, they will outproduce themselves. And the reason I know that, I've been on the front row and seen it happen at his house. I've seen Brandon does some of that too, but Ty's the master of you. I don't want you to take offense. She might be a little plain, and if you sold her, she might not bring that much. But knowing what he knows about her, she's clean with a dirty pedigree. She will outproduce herself, and I think he's proven that from time to time.
Interesting.
One thing it seems like that never got talked about 2 years ago very much, that, boy, this year seems to be a go-to for people that have been through the bull stud. Where do you think the future holds with this DS gene in terms of mating them? How many problems do you see? It just seems like people are, you get about 3 of them in your herd, and that ain't going to bring nothing at the sale barn. It's getting to be a financial deal to a lot of producers.
That's probably the greatest attribute at my house to In God We Trust. He's free, and that's not going to show up in a terminal issue. Does that make sense? Where testing, and that's one of the things I meant to say a while ago, all Brandon's new bulls are DS tested. We know what they are. If you have to be educated. If you're not going to go broke learning the hard way, you got to have them tested for all 3. And if you know how to blend that in there and it not be a detrimental problem, that's going to lead to success.
Gotcha.
Do you test yours, Ty?
Yeah, we test all of ours. I really hadn't paid attention to the DS at all. I had talked to Chad at length years before. You were talking about 2 years ago, 3-4 years ago. I laughed at it. This year, pretty strong, adamant about testing for the DS after this calving season. Yeah, we've got a little pin of the School of the Blind. They hang out behind the barn here. If I'm telling people something they don't know, they're lying a little bit too. So, I mean, we got about 200 cows and we swing on every one of them, but I think it's going to be a big deal. I think that there's some of them bulls that are DS free that they might throw you a very consistent conservative calf, but until they start picking them lighter boned and smoother and lighter muscled and everything else, I don't think that's what we're going for. So, I mean, it'll be a tricky road to walk, I guess, is a way to put it, because as there's some of them bulls that are triple clean and they'll throw them like they're triple clean, even if you do take them to a really good dirty cow and everything. I mean, it's going to be tough. I'd say the next guy that gets, a Here I Am son or something like that's DS free on the club calf side will, put the hammer down and head towards the promised land.
Yeah.
Something that I would like to know from you guys from a breeding standpoint. We've talked about a lot of bulls. We've talked about a lot of bulls that had success as sires. What is it about a bull that intrigues you, Rob, to breed to? Obviously, there's some sires that you've had recent success with that's clicked with your cows, but what goes into that initial interest in breeding to a bull?
What I think is so amazing about this is there is bulls that work at my place that don't work at the neighbors. There's bulls that work at the neighbors that don't work at my place. I mean, there's definitely some of that. I mean, you went through all these stages of these bulls, and I wasn't very old, but I mean, we had a little success out of the gate with some throttles, full flushes. Okay. And that's just the way my cows were. They just mated really well with them bulls. And then the dominance of monopoly we moved into, and I'm not saying I ever sold a monopoly, but it was pretty tough. My cows weren't not made for monopoly.
Right.
Now the closest bull that we've had for years, in my opinion, to going back to full flush and throttle is Here I Am. And again, I think those cows that my core of my cows, which kind of made for that bull, or you know what I mean, are made for that type of bull. And so it kind of goes in cycles. I mean, but the only problem is if you're going to buy a bunch of cows to work with, if the popular bull is monopoly and you buy a bunch of cows, I mean, we're always turning. You'll just be behind. You just kind of got to stay where you are and just hope that bull just comes around again. We might be moving. I hope we aren't, but I hope we might be moving out of the bulls that work for me and go to, something different, but you got to stay course and kind of the way you like your cows. And eventually that bull will come back again that works on your cows. And I think that puts you in a pretty good position, but that's just my opinion on kind of how that all turns around, I guess. But,
Yeah.
Ed, what about you? There's a picture here we sent to Paige. You sent to me 2013. You and your family had success at Houston. You'll tell me the pedigree, I know. But he was one of the first yellow colored champions early in, I guess early in 13. There wasn't very many yellow ones that had won a major show. What tell us about why you go that direction?
Well, the cow was black. So it's really hard to get a yellow one out of a black cow. And she was out of a cleanup bull that was a who made who payback. And then on the dam side, she was a Mighty Whitey Meyer. Okay. So Mighty Whitey was actually, I got to buy him from Ron out of a set of calves. It's a long story. He didn't even have a switch on his tail. True story. And so that was a little silver baldy. We put the payback, which has got Simmental in there, and the who made who that's got the key in there. I shoot a yellow bull on there, a light yellow bull on there, and she lays down and has the most beautiful orange one ever. That was the first embryo out of that cow. And that was some of the very first solid gold semen. And maybe I wasn't learning my lesson, and I said those things I said a while ago because of this right here. She'd have red ones, she'd have silver ones, she'd have gold ones just like that. And I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't know what I was going to get. You know what I mean? I bred a yellow bull to a black cow. You're not supposed to get a darker yellow calf than the bull was. So your Punnett square is large when you do that.
Gotcha. What about you, Ty? Tell me something in the breeding aspect. I've made no bones about this. Those of you that know me, I'm backgrounded in the purebred business, and something for me is consistency each and every year. I strive to have a very consistent calf crop using minimum number of sires. What is it about this business that you think takes away from some of these bulls' ability to be consistent?
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, we're trying to make the perfect calf. I mean, and that's got, and I kind of touched on it before and everything. You're not going to do it, but we're trying to do it because at the end of the day, that's what the people want to buy, and that's what the judges want to use. I mean, I think it works back from the show ring, as bad as a guy likes to say it. They like them bigger bone than they did 5 years ago. They like them hairier than they did 5 years ago. They like them stouter and smooth. I mean, the timeline has gone through types and kinds. When I was showing and stuff like that, they're a lot different than they are even now. And I'm 30. I'm not quite that old, but it stems back from that. And the more, I mean, there's a lot of judges that like to be extra critical on very good calves. And if you're a family going to go out and put in the time and the effort that it takes, because I don't have to tell anybody on here that's listening, winning's tougher than it's ever been in life, and any species, anything. And to make a calf uncriticizable for a family to give, solid money for and take care of every day and win, from start to finish, that's a whole nother chapter in this deal that you could talk about, is how they got to win early and late now instead of just late. But I think that's where your consistency kind of gets a little bit wavery. There's a few cows that are consistent, and there's consistent matings that can head you in the right direction, but it's all got to click just right to make it right.
Gotcha.
Hey guys, in the chicken business, they got into trouble. The genetics of the chickens, they got chickens so stout that their skeleton couldn't hold it up no more. And they actually, Tyson had problems with that. These cattle have gotten so stout. How much more do you guys think we can handle before we're going to be in trouble in terms of skeletal build and starting to screw them up feet and legs wise?
Go ahead, Rob. Rob sees more of that. Hey, that heifer I got from him is as wide of an animal as I've ever been around in my life. So answer that question, Rob.
And I think in cases we're getting close. In cases, I mean, but the thing about it is as much emphasis we put on muscle. I mean, we're still putting a lot of emphasis on feet and legs. I mean, it just seems to be coming together. But there's probably a point where we know it is. There's times where it's too much. No, you know what I mean? I mean, but when I say that, that's all part of the whole puzzle, is keeping them things moving the way they need to be moving and keeping the muscle in them. It's not an easy thing, no matter. I don't know anybody that says it's easy. You know what I mean? But we've got a lot of muscle, I think, coming back in the cattle. I think, I think we had a point here a few years ago where we took a lot of the muscle out to get the feet back under them, but I think we're coming back with the muscle now.
Yeah, that's my second part to that question. Do you think, as livestock evaluators, when muscle began to be a factor, the main factor, probably one of the biggest main factors here in the last 8 years, 6, 7, 8 years, do you think we were more forgiving on a little structure?
Well, I think that's for sure. And I think then we probably took it the other way, and through the monopoly stage. Would you guys not agree? I mean, that bull could move, great feet, and then we started putting more muscle back into them, now, and we're going to get to that point where it's, is it too much? I don't know. These cattle just keep better and better. I mean, some of these things on these show rings are just blow my mind. Absolutely blow my mind.
Corey, the whole key to success here is going to be keep them chicken breeders away from my semen tank.
I thought that was a good analogy, Chad.
It was great. I didn't know where you were going with the chicken analogy.
I mean, them Rhode Island red problems I don't need over here.
But saying that, Corey and I had the pleasure to sit together at the National Western this year and commentate the Market Steer Show. And I remember like yesterday, leaning over to Corey, covering the mic and saying, I cannot believe as breeders how well these guys have opened up the cattle, but still those front end could still flat get around and go to be that opened up. And to your point, Rob, about are we there yet in muscle? I think that we still have some, from an outsider's perspective, I see these cattle even getting better than they are today. I think the key is their frame. I think we're fixing to see bigger cattle.
Well, if they do, they better be ready to pick them at 14.79 because them things are belt buckle high and weigh 14.50 right now.
Yeah, I think we're fixing to see somebody bang on those heavyweights. I really do. That's just an outsider's perspective of seeing Louisville, Denver, and OIE from ringside the whole show. I think we're fixing to see some bigger cattle. I don't think those guys are going to be scared to use one banging on 1,400.
I'm not telling you. This is my opinion on that. I think the better term to put that would be heavier, because in order to make them as good as they got to be and everything, taller, I don't think our bulls and our cow power will allow us to make them, taller, heavier, and better. A lot of the best animals you can find in the country are belt buckle high. And I'm not saying that's what you need, but I mean, there's midget cows for big bulls and there's midget bulls for big cows. And I think the body length and getting them stouter, I think you'll be able to put a lot more weight in them, if that's what you mean by bigger. But, and I could be wrong, but the height wise, rarely do they get along, it looks like to me, when they're a pinch too big as far as height when it goes. I mean, you've seen one that's been borderline height or right on get along a lot more than one that's maybe a pinch too tall.
Right.
And I think, and I agree, but I also think there's a big difference of too big and some of the bulls we got. You know what I mean? We got to be careful. I mean, you just got to be careful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, these steers nowadays are so wide, they could be 50 inches tall and weigh 1,450.
Yeah, that's exactly.
There was a time period there where a 50-inch who made who or a 50-inch heat wave, hell, you couldn't get them past 1275.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like at the Iowa State Fair when I was a kid, 1250 to 1275 was as big as a calf could weigh to win the state fair. And then when I was about to graduate, 1315 was the ideal number. And now we go into state fair and we weigh them anywhere from 1330 to 1399 and think you can play ball anywhere in there. It's changing all the time. And like you said, the stouter we get them, the heavier they're going to get for sure.
Yeah.
As three breeders sitting here of cattle, has the club calf business made the cattle better, or they made them older?
They're way better. I'm sitting here to my right. There's 15 or 20 pictures from starting at Skeeter in 1990 till just the other day. And if you could see the evolution of the cat, they're way better. Them tall, no-bellied ones ain't no good. You know what I mean? Rob, when you ask him what's good, he wants that thing squashed down, sawed off, big middle. That don't cost him near as much money as them other ones. So I think we have really good cattle. And I think we do make improvements. Along the way, there's always negative attributes into making them better. You just have to find out what that is and steer away from it. But the shorter cattle that have more middle, that walk better, it's more appealing to everybody, I had me some of them old cows back in the day, and you better have the double hay trailer, not the single hay trailer, the double hay trailer, if you're going to have some of them old tall ones.
Hey, Corey, you're kind of in a unique position being at 605 at the bull stud. Do you see trends come and go at the bull stud this year? Have you seen stuff show up and think, I wonder if this is, do you see parts and pieces?
Yeah.
Bull stud?
Just from the club calf side of it, we are getting these things moderate and wider than cattle have ever been built in the world. There's no doubt. I think that, like Ty said, your consistency's probably better there. But like you had just asked earlier with the age deal, I do think, these things got to be a little older than they did. I know Rob and I have talked quite a bit about it. He probably disagrees with that more than most people you talk to, but I do think the South Dakota environment is a little better than you get into the humidity of Oklahoma and even Missouri. They don't have to fight as much. Maybe they do a little better. You can maybe take a early March calf in South Dakota to an early state fair, but Ty probably couldn't do that, could you, Ty?
No, and I don't think anybody needs to educate Rob VanHove on making a state fair sized calf. I went up to his fashion show and they were bidding them off. He had more than everybody. So I don't think nobody needs to tell Rob how to raise a state fair sized one. Yeah, no, I mean, Rob and them guys up in that part of the world, they can make February, Marches, even some April's big enough for all them shows. And I'll calve all my cows late December, January, February, and have them big enough for State Fair to Denver. I mean, that's just my genetics and my environment. That's all. That's what happens. I mean, whether if I try it, to get around it or not. I mean, that's what I run into.
Well, here's the nuts and bolts of the size deal. Okay, when you run into perfect cattle, what you call perfect, and I say balance, they're smaller in their kind. The most unique ones are smaller in their kind. If their chest is even with their rear flank and they balance from front to back and side to side, they're always smaller in their kind. So we're going to morph that direction because we want that. Now, you scowl just a little bit, but them other two, maybe other three would agree with me. The true special ones are smaller in their kind. They have more unique pieces more times than not.
Chad, I'm going to rally behind you just a little bit. And Brett, you said how great all them steers were at Denver and stuff this year. Them were born same time as your heifers. They just finally got that good that time of year.
Well, that was my point. I asked you three, has the business made the cattle better, or have they just made the cattle older?
But
that's all I was. That was my. That's where you
older
said
don't
it.
make them bad. Listen, older don't make them bad, and here's why: the contest no longer requires an average daily gain or a proof of age. It requires the best one. Okay, so we're trying to sell our best calf to the customer and make the perfect one. Now, if the contest is who can make their calf the biggest, the fastest, I'm gonna need some different semen. Okay, that's what the contest we're going to, right? We're doing what needs to be done to get the prize that we want by the parameters that are laid out in front of us. And I really believe the better ones are smaller in their kind. And everybody else believes with me too, because the day they're born is way different than it was 10 years ago. Come on.
Yeah, that is something that I do think is so unique to listen in on this whole conversation. We've talked from the Bob May episode to the Brandon Horn, Wade Rogers episode. We've talked about 60-inch cattle, and we've talked about 48-inch cattle, and we've talked about narrow ones, and now we're talking about how they're so wide, they're so stout, they're so big at the ground. But for the last 2.5 weeks, all we've heard about is how much easier they calve. Where's that come from?
It's true.
Rob, take that.
No, I don't. I mean, it's 100% true. I mean, I remember the days of the throttles and the heat waves, and I'm telling you right now, it probably would not still be doing what I'm doing if we still had to do that. I mean, it was that bad. Now, when I say that, I mean, I can only kind of speak for the Here I Ams because we have probably, well, let's just say a lot of them born.
Let's say that.
And to be honest with you, I mean, we don't hardly touch one. You understand what I'm saying? And I mean, what a luxury that is. I mean, that has definitely helped the whole deal of having a lot of them born at my place anyway. And how that happens, I mean, that's the thing about it is, and I ain't saying I know anything, but you know, when calving season comes around, and the first thing they want to do is put up there on a Snapchat this calf that's got a back that's 4 feet wide and legs that are just look like boards. And I mean, those ain't the calves, in my opinion, that we're seeing sell in the fall good or go on to do anything. Matter of fact, a lot of them calves aren't even in the fall sales. I mean, these calves, I mean, my place, that I'm just speaking for myself, it's the ones that just got it put together pretty damn nice. And they just get a little better every day, a little better every day. And pretty soon by September, you're like, that son of a bitch is pretty nice. You know, but what I'm trying to say is that goes back to your cabin. We don't have to have these bitches look like salt blocks coming out.
Right.
They can, and that, that can just kind of, as long as they're getting better every day and getting stouter every day, that's perfect at my place.
Mhm.
I think you have a better chance keeping the wheels on them then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Corey T, that picture, when you asked me to send you one, I sent you that Colorado steer.
Oh yeah, that Colorado State Fair picture.
That calf there, we were short on grass that summer, and Wade came through and he got a couple pairs for me and took them up there, and they, he's got 4 hired guys and they can take a lot better care of them than I can running around. But anyways, I sent 2 of them up there, and one of them, when I sent him up there, he told me, he said when they got up, when he had them, he was just like, this one calf's going to be awesome. And I was like, I really thought that one was real good. And I got up there during weaning time around State Fair, and I went out there and looked, and I said, that one calf doesn't look as good as I thought. He said, it's because you like the wrong one. The one that I liked when I sent up there was a Here I Am Smiling Bob 275 Irish Whiskey Kelly. And when he was born, I thought, this is the pinnacle. I done did it. Like, this is the calf here. And when he came and picked out this calf, he was exactly like Rob was talking about. Real good legs, real good hair, good balance. Hadn't came into his width yet, but got stouter every day. I mean, and did everything right. And that calf there, I mean, there would have been 10 people come through and pass over that calf. And that's without a doubt one of the best ones that I personally has ever raised. Not that that's saying a lot on most days, but I mean, that calf there did everything he needed to. And the calf that I thought was going to be the one we make the logo out of when we redo our sign was he did. I mean, he turned out fine, but nothing like this.
How was this one bred, Ty?
This one was a Here I Am Monopoly Lifeline.
Yeah.
And back to some of that real fertile stuff we were talking about earlier, I acquired his mother because the guy, one of my roommates in college, Willie Weiss, showed her as a heifer and she wouldn't carry a pregnancy after 90 days. So that's how I acquired his mother.
Confession. Confession time.
Yes. So that was that quick turnover stuff too, though.
Hey, she's still around.
I bet you can find her.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Hey, so I'm going to go back and re-ask this question because you just alluded to an earlier question that kind of got skipped over. What is it about you three that drives what bull you're going to use? Had you bred your cows based upon the one that you liked versus the one that was there in the long run? Is it social media post? Is it Snapchats? Is it
Absolutely not.
Hey, I'm not taking over the Cattle Drive Live here, but the biggest respect I got, and I got a lot of respect for Chad, but Rob, I think, can raise more he knows exactly what he wants, and he can raise more cattle in that window of what he wants them to look like than anybody, I think, probably doing it. And that's where I personally struggle the most. I know what I want them to look like, but I don't have 15 generations of the cow families that Rob does to get them to how I want them to look. I go out and piece together cows, and when we go to shooting at the board, the one cow will throw them how I like, and the other ones will throw them how other people like, or might not be how anybody likes them, but and we just go from there. But I talk about this with people all the time when it comes to raising them how you personally like them is 10 times more difficult than you can even imagine.
Agreed.
Yeah. Hey, but let me answer this a little bit. And you'll remember, this goes all the way. Brett is on one to remember Mickey. Okay. That was the first full throttle semen sold. Okay. And
too, just so you know.
Like I just get this idea in my head, and I will use something that has never been done. And every time that I did something really, really good, it was out of a bull that I really didn't see any product out of. And sometimes, no, all the time I overthink it. Okay. All the time. I think it too. I talk to Ty all the time about this very thing, and he's tired of me asking questions because there's not an answer to it. I just need somebody to tell me it's going to be okay. I overthink everything. When there's not enough information to overthink it, I do better. But I just have hunches. Like when you're not sleeping at night, you get to thinking about, oh, that and that and that and that. But a lot of times, if you breed off of what you saw a fat steer look like and you never saw its mama, you will mess up. Okay. Yeah. You need to see its mother and see how a bull works. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Robbie, you talked about having quite a few cows to Here I Am, quite a few calves to Here I Am. Was that a hunch you had in that day, or was that
no? I mean, I didn't start with just throwing a whole bunch of that in them, in the cows. But after we had those first few and starting, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but I think the similarities to him going back to when I was raising those better calves and flushes and throttles. I mean, it just that bull, in my opinion, was made for my cows. Now, I don't know how long that window is going to be. Like I said, I struggled like a son of a gun when everybody else in the whole country was raising monopolies. I mean, I ain't saying I ever sold a monopoly, you know what I mean? But it wasn't like there wasn't the full flush and throttle days and the Here I Am days, you know what I mean? And so it really wasn't a hunch. It was just once I seen that it was going to work kind of like I thought, and hey, it doesn't work on every cow. I'm not saying that, but once the guy gets it figured out on the ones he does work, it can be a pretty good product. I mean, there's no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Like that bull that we're promoting this year's mother, I mean, it's just about automatic. I mean, that's one Chad's got that heifer out of too. And I mean, she just done really good on big numbers, a lot of them. So, I mean, that don't have, he ain't very smart doing that. It's just, it works.
Right. Yeah. Chad, you hang out in the North Country with Ty, and you kind of can blend seeing some cattle in the North, and you go south to Brandon's until he finally runs you off too. What do you see the difference in those two types of cattle? In the country runs wild right now with In God We Trust, north and south.
Yes.
Here I Am works north and south. I'm assuming. My question is, what do you see the difference in those build of those regions?
Well, the biggest difference, and if you're going to throw Horn in the mix, it makes it different. So I'll answer the question minus him, and then I'll put him back in there. Number one, cattle are bigger naturally up north, right? Used to, we'd buy them out of the sweetheart sale, bring them home. They would actually not just shrink one direction, they would shrink two directions, okay? It's a proven fact, the further from the equator they are, the bigger they are. So you got to be calculating that. As a whole in South Dakota, those cows have more mane and semi-genetics in it than anywhere else, okay? Because that's where they started AIN cows out of the ABS catalog. So it's a whole different game. Once you get to I-40 and south, okay, we have got club calf on club calf, even if it wasn't dirty club calf, right? So that's a little bit different makeup. When you get to Brandon's, he bred from muscle from day one because he came from the pig farm, right? Rory D is what he was looking at every day, and he turned that into a cow, a show cow. And so it's all a little bit different. They have muscle everywhere, okay? They have width everywhere. They have different pedigrees depending on where you go. Corey goes enough places to know, and Rob's pedigrees will be similar but completely different to the guys 100 miles west of him. But most of those places you go straight up 81, behind there is a bunch of mane and semis that were big boned, big footed, wild colored 30 years ago. Most of them guys have been doing it a long time.
Right.
And one thing that I've seen just from the bull stud side of it, the northern black bulls are stout. There's no doubt about it. They are heavy muscle buggers. Them bulls that come from the south, especially the ones Chappie talks about from the Horn lineage, they are dense. I mean, there's a difference between stout and density. I mean, their back shape coming out of their shoulders. It's different than cattle up here. They're not as big haired, but they are dense cattle, ain't they, Chappie?
Absolutely. And I'm telling you, I've seen Rory D's pigs. If you've ever seen 2 doses of Alley Cat back on 81-7, that's what those yellow cows look like. Okay. And I'm telling you, he took the vision and made his own kind, and it is density. It is density with a lot of flex at the ground. A lot of times.
But is that density because the way those guys show them in Texas?
No, it's because of the way he started with them. You go back to the first girls he started with, and that's the way they were.
Okay.
Now, he has density because that's what wins, but he started with density.
I got you. I see. Gotcha. Well, there's no doubt we could continue this. We could continue on for another hour and keep digging on.
It can't be done. I ain't made fun of Ty yet. Or Corey T. There's lots of ground.
Hey, we cannot get off here, Corey.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could have a little bull.
Go ahead.
We could have a little bull lineage trivia here. Chappie made the mistake of taking me on at Oklahoma City last year. Bet on it was the grandsire of One Oak. Was that what it was?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
He said yes.
Chappie was convinced it was Bojo.
Yep.
And I could not remember what it was, but I knew it wasn't Bojo. So I bet him a burrito on it that was the size of my head.
I gave you every bull in America but Mojo because you was rattling like a magpie. Robbie was sitting right there.
I was.
Yeah. My overzealousness cost me a burrito, but there's nothing. It's fine. I'll buy you another one. We don't even got to make a stupid bet to make me wrong. I'll buy for 3 next time.
He said to make me wrong again. Chappie, to this point in the business, we ask each person, or try to ask each person that's on this show, what is it to this point of this business that you have enjoyed the most?
Obviously, I love people. So I love the relationships, the ones I have and the ones that we don't have anymore. And I can't say enough about that. But there's something about a baby calf. And when I was a kid, my mama worked at Sale Barn, and she'd buy heiferettes, bred stuff that weighed 700 pounds. And I used to pull calves before school. And there's just something about a newborn baby calf that still gets me revved up. And I sent Ty a video the other night about the wildest cowboy thing I ever done in flip-flops. I drove a cow 3/4 of a mile with a leg back, pulled the calf without a chute with a rope halter and a little piece of a chain I found in the barn. And I was so overwhelmed with joy, I videoed it and sent it to my family and Ty. And I just can't. There's something about it I love baby calves. When they don't show cattle no more, I'll still try to make something specific that's pleasing to me, and I still want to be there when she has it. That's something inside of me that can't be taken out. Yeah. He played about, got it out of me, but I'm back to where I love it again. Yeah.
Rob, what about you? What is it about this business from early on till present day? What is it about this business that sticks with you the most?
There's no doubt the relationships you build. There's some great people in this business. It's a funny story. I went right out of high school. I flew to Ullagull, Oklahoma, and went to work for a guy by the name of Vincent Blakely. And Vincent was his own character, if you know Vincent. But I'm going to tell you something. I don't regret doing it one bit, because a lot of the people that I met going to all them shows, and if you know Vincent, he never missed one, are still the same people that I do business with today. And it's the same relationship. Some have come, some have gone, but there are a lot of the same people. That's how I got my start. And, so I guess what I'm saying about that, definitely the people. If it wasn't, for the relationships the guy builds, really, what's the point? I mean, I love looking at the different matings and I love doing it. But what I'm saying is it's definitely the people and the relationship. There's no doubt about it.
How about it, Tyrone?
I'd be similar to both them other guys. I mean, we get people coming here that, come here every year, no different than them other guys, and you get to meet them and build, friendships and everything else. But the other thing that I mean, when you're this time of year, when you're sitting there mating a cow or putting in an embryo or anything like that, and if you're lucky enough to have that calf hit the ground and do everything right and see that go on and do good for a young kid or something like that, I mean, I didn't have much success when I was showing. We tried real hard. My sister got along very good, and just that feeling of all the effort. I mean, I think a lot of people think they know, and I'm not saying that I do either, but the amount of effort that everybody on this deal puts into it to just raise a calf, and if it's able to get along, the reward of that is absolutely unmatched. I mean, unmatched.
Right.
Just to add to this deal, we had the storms up here this last week. I mean, my phone blew up from people in all different states wanting to know what they could do. I mean, honestly, we're fine, and it was just the thought, and this shows you the kind of people we got in this business, because it was really something.
Yeah, this business, at the end of the day, I think you just brought a point that the business is bigger than the cattle. The cattle will never, ever be bigger than the business. And I mean, it's hard to believe that I would say that, because that business, the cattle is what drive each one of us to do what we do. But it's the cattle are never the big thing. So, but guys, thanks for taking the time. This is going to be a unique closing for us, Corey. Those that don't know, maybe new to what we do at Cattle Drive, we close each one of these out with something called Cattlemen's for Christ. And tonight we have the pleasure to let Mr. Chad Chaplin close us out. He's got something he'd like to tell us. Chad, drive on, driver.
All right, so we've got a little men's group on Wednesday mornings here in Weatherford where we go eat breakfast, and it is a cross section of society. Okay, I'm the only cow guy in the deal. Okay, we got businessmen, old, young, whatever. They think there's 6 of us. Anyway, we ran across this the other day, and it just so happens when I walked in here a while ago, my Bible was turned. I keep it right here because we have to do a daily reading, or we get to do a daily reading, and it was turned to it, and I had it highlighted, and I read it while we had some downtime, and I thought, hey, that's good advice for any day, anywhere. So I'm going to read it to you, and it's in James chapter 3, verse 13. It's only one verse. The book of James, written by Jesus' half brother. And it says, who is wise and understanding among you? Let him show it by his good life, by deeds done in humility that comes from wisdom. So I thought that was wonderful. Hey, and like Rory D says, talk's cheap. And that's what Jesus' half brother just said. If you're smart, you let your deeds show it.
Absolutely. Sunday school class this morning, Chappie, they said that the guy that we listened to there speak for about 6 minutes said sometimes you'll go through something in life that there's not a Bible verse for. But what you'll find out is if you'll live a Bible verse, you don't always have to go search for one.
That's right.
I thought that was unique. So, Chad, thank you for sharing that.
You bet.
Ty and Rob, appreciate you guys taking busy time. I know, Rob, with the storm, you had to shut down some cleanup to come inside and visit with us. But he just shut her down altogether. Couldn't wait to go pick up more trash. Yeah, exactly. No, hey, guys, I really do appreciate you. Corey,
yeah, thanks a lot, guy. We enjoyed it. We got to
thanks for having
down,
yeah, thank you very
5
much
years
for having
from
us
now
on.
and do this again, and hope we don't have problems like the chicken breeders.
Yeah, the chicken boys.
Yeah.
Keep the tires on them.
All right, take care, guys.